Hello and welcome, I am MotoristX and welcome to an edition of Lore Wheel Drive, where I talk about niche automotive lore, history, and subjects of the like. Today I'll share with you a brief history over RE Amemiya, and later on we'll take a look at some pretty intriguing examples of their work. But before we dive into any of that though, I would recommend subscribing to my channel if you would like to learn more about automotive operations and topics like this in general. With my automotive work, I make content for all different types of car enthusiasts, but with this series in particular, this is for all my history buffs, my spec nerds, and my taxonomy masters. Essentially, if you are a car enthusiast who loves to classify cars and really love understanding and getting to know your favorite nameplates, Lore Wheel Drive is going to be a series for you. Now, having said that, let's talk about RE Amemiya. RE Amemiya is a Japanese tuning company that specializes in tuning Mazdas, most notably speaking, rotary powered models like the RX-7 and the RX-8. The company was founded in 1974 by a man named Isami Amemiya and began working their magic on Mazdas in a small garage tucked away in Tomisato, Japan. During the early days, Isami Amemiya himself worked with a lot of small cars. Many of such included the Mazda Familia and the Mazda Chantes. And the funny thing was, he used to own and use some of these cars for street racing back in the day. During his ownership and time with working on these cars in general, he noticed that both the Familia and the Chantes were very potent because they were lightweight and they were nimble. But the one thing that they were lacking was their power plants. Those inline engines that they originally came with did not suffice for Amemiya, so he installed rotaries inside of them. And soon afterwards, putting these things on the street, many fast nights had passed because these rotaries had saved him from being last. Ultimately, because of the performance bump these rotary engines would give, Amemiya himself had developed a soft spot for them. Again, as time would continue to pass, Mazda expanded their model range as well as the application of the rotary engine. One model in particular that was born from both phenomenon was the RX-7, and shockingly enough, it would be a car that Amemiya had set his sights immediately on. This car was nimble, light, and most importantly of all, rotary powered. This would be the perfect formula for Amemiya, and so much to the point that he and his team would continue working on these cars to the very day of me recording this. From the inception of the RX-7 up until now, Amemiya has created highway track stars, feisty GT300 class contenders of the JGTC, and even D1 Grand Prix missiles out of these cars. He did all of this, all while also making a name for himself within the Japanese street racing and motorsports scenes, and also making more of a name for Mazda cars overall, specifically speaking, the rotary powered models. Now, up until this present day, Amemiya and his team have worked on numerous cars that weren't RX-7s. Some of these included RX-8s, Miatas, Cosmos, and even non-Mazdas like the Lotus Europa and the Ferrari Testarossa. All these cars are very different from each other off the assembly line, but the team at RE Amemiya always made sure they always received the same signature upgrades. With these cars, RE Amemiya provided an upgrade towards their handling, gave them distinct bodywork, and most importantly, installed a uniquely tuned rotary engine for these specific cars. It's worth noting that because of this, all of RE Amemiya's creations were one-off demo cars that were all built for specific reasons and specific purposes. Nonetheless, regardless of what RE Amemiya car you look at, they all illustrate two things. One, the engineering prowess of Isami Amemiya and his team, and two, the potentiality of the rotary engine. Now, up until this point, I have given you a brief history over RE Amemiya, but in a little bit, we're actually going to take a look at some examples that they've produced that demonstrate how capable and fun rotaries can be. But before we dive into this gallery of cars though, let me clarify a few things. Number one, cars are only going to be named by their year, company, model, and trim level. I'm not going to be using any generational codes, chassis codes, or sub-trim level names. Number two, some of the cars in the video might have multiple engine options or revisions available. So for the sake of this video, I only chose the specs for the revision or the option at the time that was either the most popular or the one that had the most information on it. Number 3, some cars also might have figures that just weren't publicly attainable. So for these cars, you'll see that some data slots will say that data was just simply not attainable. Number 4, few of the specs in this video might not be 100% accurate. So for these questionable metrics, I ended up comparing the car in question to other cars similar in its class and era. And ultimately what I ended up doing was creating metrics for the car in question based off the metrics I had compared it to from the other cars similar in its class and era. And number 5, taking into consideration the previous 4 points, I want you to know that I have done my best to provide you with both accurate and precise information for the cars you will see listed in the gallery shortly. Now, having given you a brief history over RE Amemiya, and now having addressed the side notes for this gallery, let us dive into the Dorito heroes known as RE Amemiya. So guys, if you liked what you saw, go ahead and leave a like and consider subscribing to see more content like this. If you want to see me do this with another car brand, model, or type, comment down below which brand, model, or type you want to see me cover next. Again, I am MotoristX, and this was an edition of Lore Wheel Drive.